Knowing that his younger wife had already been slapped and disfigured by his adopted sister 99 times, and had been reported for leaking confidential information that ruined her future, he chose to only save her on the brink of life and death. The little wife was still swept into the ruins, and even took advantage of her coma to secretly transplant her brachial plexus nerve to his adopted sister. He knew that the little wife must have hated him. As he expected, the little wife woke up and went crazy, tearing up their marriage certificate and setting fire to the Pei family ancestral hall. But he dared not stop at all, not even dare to look at her. Until his wife had completely calmed down, he stepped forward and spoke up to comfort her, saying, "Your hands are useless, I will support you for the rest of your life. If you don't like Yaya, I'll send her abroad. We can live a good life together and have another child next year." "Who cares?" Chao Xintong's voice was hoarse and tears rolled down her face. "Pei Chan, it's not like you bully people like this." Tears blurred her vision as she looked at the familiar and unfamiliar man in front of her, her heart pounding and almost suffocating. "In your eyes, Pei Shuwei is like clouds in the sky, and I am like mud under my feet. Do I deserve to be trampled and humiliated like this by you? You're just relying on..." She cried so hard that she could hardly catch her breath, and every word felt like blood being vomited from her throat. "Relying on my past. Liking you." Pei Chan's heart inexplicably stabbed, and her mind uncontrollably flashed through her calm and resolute eyes during the earthquake. "I, Chao Xintong, will no longer rely on you, nor will I crave any more of your affection." His Adam's apple rolled and he looked at the tearful woman on the bed with a complex expression, just about to speak. The butler suddenly appeared. "Young master, I'm going to take the young lady away. Would you like to say goodbye to her? In half an hour, the plane is about to take off. As soon as we leave this time, I don't know when we'll meet again." The ward fell into a dead silence. Chao Xintong remained silent for a moment before suddenly speaking up. "Pei Chan, will you accompany her or me for the next half hour?" Pei Chan immediately turned around, and the corners of his suit stirred up the night breeze, bringing a chill. "Go to the airport right away." Chao Xintong closed her eyes and heard the sound of her heart completely shattering. In just a few seconds, Pei Chan's voice was already far away. "I will compensate you for this matter, and we will be a true couple in the future." He paused for a moment, and a very shallow sigh floated in the air. "When I come back, I will definitely fulfill my promise." The ward door slammed shut, completely isolating the two. Chao Xintong curled up on the bed, listening to his hurried footsteps gradually fading away and eventually disappearing completely. Chao, do you really want a divorce? If those media hear the news, they will definitely label you as an abandoned woman of a wealthy family to the death. Besides, you've been pursuing Pei Chan for 2 whole years, and after finally marrying him, are you really willing to leave him? My best friend Su Wen stopped Chao Xintong at the registration office, her eyes filled with panic and confusion. Chao Xintong clenched the divorce agreement tightly and walked towards the service window without hesitation, saying, "I want to leave." In this lifetime, she will never have any involvement with Pei Chan again. She was fed up with the feeling of being used as a fig leaf, exhausted from hard work, and finally dying of anger in her previous life. Su Wen stood still, watching her resolute figure with confusion in her heart. No one in Beijing knows that Chao Xintong was once the youngest financial elite on Wall Street, holding lifelong offers from top companies. But for Pei Chan, she was willing to give up everything and only be the gentle and respectful Mrs. Pei by his side. "Why are you in a hurry to cut off your relationship with him after only half a year of marriage?" When the clerk handed over the divorce application receipt, the sharp edge seemed to pierce Chao Xintong's heart. Facing Su Wen's concerned gaze, she pulled out a bitter smile. "After the 30-day cooling-off period, I will leave him and return to New York to become my CFO again." Returning to the Pei family villa, Chao Xintong couldn't help but blush as she looked at everything familiar in front of her. Who would dare to believe that she has gone back to 5 years ago? At first, she attended multinational economic forums as a Wall Street financial executive. Pei Chan was dressed in a black suit, with sharp eagle-like eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses. Even among a group of high-ranking officials, he still had an outstanding aura. He stood on stage to expound on global economic insights, with sharp words and meticulous logic, skillfully refuting all doubts and winning sincere applause from the audience. At that moment, Chao Xintong fell completely. In order to chase after him, Chao Xintong traveled tirelessly like a migratory bird for 2 whole years in the time difference between China and the United States. Finally, Pei Chan accepted her confession and unquestionably made 2 demands. Firstly, he doesn't want children. Secondly, he does not accept long-distance marriage. In order to marry him, Chao Xintong gritted her teeth and gave up her bright future, and also extinguished her desire to become a mother with her own hands. She was filled with joy, thinking that as long as 2 hearts were together, even without children, they could still be happy. But 5 years of asexual life slapped her hard. At first, she thought he was sick. Later on, I found out that he had already felt a sense of belonging and intentionally made her stay a widow. Thinking of this, Chao Xintong trembled all over and her fingertips were cold. A faint sound drifted from the direction of the study in the evening breeze. Chao Xintong approached like a ghost, and in the next moment, his pupils suddenly contracted. The moonlight was like frost, pouring through the half-open door crack and illuminating Pei Chan's sweaty forehead and hair. He tightly held a photo in his hand, on which the innocent smile of a young girl could be faintly seen. Chao Xintong turned around stiffly, every step felt like stepping on broken glass, and the pain spread to her heart. At the moment when the bedroom door closed, she could no longer hold on and slowly slid down the door panel. The coolness of the floor seeps into the bone marrow, but it is far less than 1,000th of the coldness in the heart. Originally, Pei Chan's request for a sexless marriage was only aimed at her personally. For the person in his heart, he wishes he could be affectionate every day and stay together every night. The night breeze poured in through the window, and even though it was summer, Chao Xintong felt his breath freeze to ice. Dong, dong. The door was knocked on. Chao Xintong took a deep breath, wiped away the wetness from the corners of his eyes with the back of his hand, and forcefully stood up to open the door. Pei Chan caught a glimpse of her red eyes, furrowed his brow slightly, and didn't ask much, just coldly instructing. Yu has a conflict with her classmates and wants to stay at home. Please tidy up the guest room. Chao Xintong tightly gripped her palm with her fingertips, and the pain kept her calm on the surface. Until Pei Chan's figure disappeared at the end of the corridor, tears finally couldn't help but slide down from the corners of her eyes. She remembers in her previous life, as a college student, Pei Shuwei not only moved into her home, but also took over the Pei Foundation in her place. Pei Shuwei has no experience and has no intention of taking care of things. It's all up to Chao to clean up the mess behind her back. Every time, Pei Chan only uses a casual explanation to silence her. Ye is suffering from depression. As a sister-in-law, it is appropriate for you to take care of her more. Chao Xintong gritted her teeth and shouldered the operation of the foundation, returning home to serve Pei Shuwei tirelessly. Until 2 years later, Pei Chan picked up a baby and stuffed it into her hand. This is the orphan of my friend, you should raise him as your own son. Chao Xintong devoted all her maternal love to raising her child until the age of 3, and as she looked at his eyes and features that were similar to those of Pei Shuwei, she gradually became suspicious. Later, she even witnessed the two of them entangled in the bedroom with her own eyes. Chao Xintong suddenly realized that Pei Chan was cold and distant from her because he loved someone he couldn't love. He has no blood relationship with his adopted sister, Pei Shuwei. And her Chao Xintong is just a fig leaf in this forbidden love. Thinking of this, Chao Xintong's internal organs were twisted and painful, causing her to bend down and tears to fall to the ground. After a while, she wiped away her tears and opened her former boss's email. After entering the words Chao Xintong applies to restore the position of Chief Financial Officer, without any hesitation, click send. Since Pei Chan doesn't have her in his heart, why should she compromise and bind herself to him? Looking at the empty bedroom, Chao Xintong murmured softly. Pei Chan, this time, I will leave you forever and never bother you again.